Hey guys, just a real quick one. I wanted to demonstrate a proper solvent weld for those who don't know how to do one. I'm going to use my cutter here. I prefer this cutter. I've mentioned it in another video. This is just a scrap piece of pipe, and I'm going to go ahead and make a fresh cut on it just to kind of show the full process. See how fast that is? That's just as fast as a saw. So this tool, that's that chamfering tool I mentioned before. See how these notches are? It lines up with that notch. Sometimes it can be hard to press in and get it pressed in. And then I just turn it. Oops. And it shaves off that edge. Go around a few times just to make sure you're pressing it in all the way. You can probably kind of see it right there. That's the shaving get pulled off. And if you look at the angle there, it's kind of got a chamfer on it now. That's critical. You have to do that. People don't, and they should, and it bugs me, but that's okay. So on small diameter fittings and pipe, I usually do kind of like that, or like this. It just depends. On bigger pipes, sometimes I'll lay the fitting down. Anything bigger than 4 inch, you just about need a second person to kind of help you hold it, but that's you don't really want to have to do that if you're solo like I am. So on your primer, if I'm underneath the house or if I'm out in the yard or somewhere where I can get away with it, I'll usually flick it. I mean, you can kind of knock it around in a can like that to clear your excess primer off, but I usually flick it because it's faster. But in this case, I'm just going to kind of daub the excess on this scrap cardboard here, because you don't want this to be super wet. Otherwise, you end up with runs and it's just nasty. So inside the fitting, kind of like that there. Outside of the pipe, I like to kind of change directions a few times. This primer is kind of old, but it'll still do the job. And what this primer does is it chemically primes the pipe so that you're, I actually took too much primer off of this thing, but it chemically primes the PVC to accept the solvent weld. See, it's kind of got a dark purple tint to it. Now this needs to be damp when I apply the glue for this to work properly, so I like to go over it one more time. And you'll notice I kind of drag the dauber over. I don't really need all that. About half a dauber's worth for a 2 inch is plenty. One time around, a couple times around, and give it a little twist. And on medium duty cement, maybe a 10 count, maybe a 15 count. For heavy duty, you got to hold it a little bit longer. And I'll do another video explaining duty rating and why heavy duty is not necessarily heavier duty. And there you go. And before it fully dries, one thing I like to do, if I've got any excess glue or glue runs, I'll scrape it off, kind of wipe it down. It just ends up looking nicer. But that is what a solvent weld joint should look like. I probably could have primed this edge a little bit more, but this is perfectly acceptable. And that pretty well covers it. I'd like to thank my special guest who's holding the camera for me, the wife. Say hello, wife.
Hello.
And I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one.